إيما ستون بتقدم واحدة من أشهر أشرار عالم ديزني وهي كرويلا، وده من خلال الفيلم اللي بيحمل نفس الاسم وبدأ عرضه من أيام.
الشخصية سبق واتقدمت في أفلام رسوم متحركة وصورة حية في سلسلة 101 دالماشن، والفيلم ده بيعتبر ثالث فيلم في السلسلة وأحداثه سبق لأحداثها.
Let me give you some advice. You can't care about anyone else. Everyone else is an obstacle. You care what an obstacle wants or feels, you're dead. If I'd cared about anyone or thing, I might have died. You have the talent. Whether you have the killer instinct is the big question.
I was very drawn to the character at the very beginning when they said, oh, it would be a fun idea if we can find the right thing to tell an origin story for Cruella de Vil, because she's such a fabulous character. And, you know, I loved the character, but it did take a number of years to find what that story would be. And if it was something that was worth telling and was you know, felt like it could stand alone on its own in a world that would be fun for her to live in, and an origin story that would make sense for the character. So honestly, it wasn't just kind of a no-brainer for everybody. I think it really took Craig and Tony and the way that it all came together to make it what it is. And I was incredibly excited to do the film once they came on board and it was kind of worked into this shape. I thought it was, you know, it kind of stands alone as its own story of the character, not really as, you know, another piece of a story of 101 Dalmatians, I think.
You won't admit you love me, and so how
Do you have a light?
ever to know? You always tell me.
Get her.
Oh, I loved it so much. And I must say, I'm thinking about the story of Cruella and what you were just talking about, and that what's so interesting about it, I think, and clever of Tony, really, to point out that this is a sort of redemption story going backwards, you know what I mean? And the idea of a woman being ruthless in order to release her creativity is great. I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, if you think about Virginia Woolf and what she writes about in A Room of One's Own about Shakespeare's sister being creative and it killing her because there was no outlet, there was nothing, there was no way that she could be creative. And you think about what the Baroness was up against, and she said, if I'd cared about anything else, I'd have died like all those other women who couldn't create anything but were absolute geniuses. And genius always comes at a price anyway, doesn't it? So right at the center of the story, however awful the Baroness is, and she really is 100% dreadful, you kind of get it. And you understand also that Estella has to crush certain things inside her in order to make it. And that's a very kind of true story. And it's only just really occurred to me that in fact, that's a very pertinent story that we don't hear very often.
If you can make your mind up, we'll never get started.
I want to make trouble. You in?
I got a call from Sean Bailey. He's like, what do you think about Cruella de Vil set in 1970s punk London with Emma Stone? And I'm like, I'm in. That combination of like 70s London punk, The Clash, and Emma Stone, I just knew we'd be able to do something interesting with it. They absolutely, and I love that it's just two strong women going head to head, and that's the whole plot of the film. And you know, there's obviously this strong dramatic themes going on. There's a theme of like, you know, really like staying true to who you are and not trying to have society like, you know, put you into certain boxes. And that's a large part of Corella's journey. And she makes mistakes along the way. But yeah, it was so much fun to see those two in a room together.
You have a bit of an extreme side. Yes, darling. What fun that is.
واتش إت، ما تخليش حاجة تفوتك.